Now we've got another completely different topic to talk about, which is buying businesses. Now, Roberto, something that I picked up when I spoke to you about is how you kind of used the foundation of your life in modeling to move on to other ventures. And one of those ventures was acquiring existing businesses, which I'm sure you'll tell us a little bit about. So, as a spin off from that, what did you buy? What were you looking at? What were your decisions behind it? And what are the advantages of buying, say, an existing business over a startup?
So interesting because I actually never planned to buy a business. It literally came about where I had some capital saved up, and an opportunity during COVID came about where it was an investment opportunity into a care home business, which I got involved with a few other people. It came about because of course, the situation that was going on with the pandemic, and we got a really good deal to get involved into the care homes industry. So got involved in that. To be fair, because of how good the deal was, but I have more experience in starting businesses rather than buying them. That being said, I definitely have a few pointers of what to look at and what to consider when deciding whether to buy or not a business. Mainly would say being aware of the past, the past of the business. Was it making money before? Is it making money now? Will it make money in the future? Is it in an emerging market? Or is it in a dying market? Or is it in a market that will just always be constant? That is a huge thing to consider, I would say. Other than that, maybe take a look at whether a change of ownership would provide any uncertainty in the business that could cause current employees to leave, or the current customer base to be put off, maybe. These are just things to consider, I would say, before buying a business. Also, are you prepared to lose all of the money that you put in, right? I wouldn't recommend essentially investing in a business with all your life savings. I would say that would be a bit risky. But that being said, if you should definitely analyze the risk of buying a business before you go in it. Really look at the past of the business, as I mentioned, and just do your homework on the business, I would say. But it can also come with many advantages. These are just a few disadvantages that I mentioned, but it can come with a lot of advantages, meaning that you already know that the business is working. You don't have to launch an experiment to find out if it's working. You kind of know. You can look at other businesses and know that they're working. And this one that you're acquiring, you can see what it's been doing for the past year, 2 years, 3 years, if it's been making money. So there are quite a few advantages to buying a business as well. It also has the existing infrastructure all set up. It has an existing customer base, so you don't really have to, of course, depending on from business to business, but you may not have to build a new customer base. So, yeah.
Perfect. And they're the advantages, and also the explanation of kind of your reasoning behind going into buying businesses. What about the disadvantages of buying a business over starting one up?
Like I said, buying a business, the change of ownership can cause some uncertainty in the business, which may not land too well with the current employees, depending on their relationship with the previous owners. I'm sure you've heard of many cases where ownership changes, so the employees leave as well because they got on with them so well, right? Also, as I mentioned, the risk of it not working, because maybe you can't manage it as well as the previous owner did, right? There's always that. Another disadvantage is, of course, needing upfront capital in most cases, unless you get investors on board, but just that upfront capital. Whereas with a startup, you may be more you may lean more on raising investments and not actually having to put any of your own money in. So these are some of the disadvantages, I would say.
Brilliant. So, I mean, they're really solid points, really solid. I've always been in the startup realm rather than the acquisition side. So, really useful points for me personally and hopefully other people that are watching this. Moving on from that, top tips that you have for someone who is looking to acquire a business.
Top tips for someone that's looking to acquire a business. Main one, I've already mentioned it before, just do your homework, really get to know the details about the business, about the market. This is a huge point that me and you bonded over, was the takeover of AI, for example, right? I really see AI take over so many industries and so many markets where a lot of businesses will fail. So I would consider things like AI when buying a business, making sure that it won't kill your market, right? That would be a huge thing. Secondly, as I said, being very aware of your financial situation. I wouldn't recommend dumping all your life savings into buying a business. And then, yeah, just the history of it. Really, can you do as good of a job as the previous owners? That's a big one for me.
Good points, really good points. And just to kind of finalize this topic on acquiring a business, I think a really important point is what type of business should someone acquire? What decision is that? You mentioned that it was just an opportunity. You'd never thought about going into the care home industry before. So are we saying, right, acquire a business just if an opportunity arises? Is there any other reasons that people should look for, or kind of what should dictate their position around what type of business that they actually want to acquire?
So I would say I would hold back from investing in anything that you don't know a lot about. So I grew up surrounded by health. My dad is a doctor. I've always been absolutely obsessed by biology, the science of your body, the human mind, body language, psychology, everything to do with health, to the point where I tapped into all of them by myself, did a lot of courses, got privately mentored, never been to university, funnily enough. So I was surrounded by health. So going into the healthcare industry, well, care home, which is still requires a lot of health, just seemed right, and the people that I was involved with knew a lot more about the industry than I did as well. But it really helped for me to be aware of at least the fundamentals. So I would say a massive point is knowing what you're getting involved into.
Brilliant. Thank you for those points. And that brings us to the end of the final topic